WWE superstar reported dead, wrestling world in shock. The WWE universe is in mourning after shocking news broke about the passing of a beloved WWE superstar. Fans are devastated. What happened? Who was involved? And how is WWE responding to this heartbreaking loss? In this video, we break down all the facts surrounding this tragic event, the reactions pouring in from the wrestling community, and what this means for WWE moving forward. Stay tuned as we uncover the full story behind the headlines. He was more than a wrestler, he was a symbol of pain, of perseverance, of charisma, and chaos. But today, the ring is quiet, the lights are dimmed, and the WWE universe is in mourning. Just hours ago, news broke that shook the very core of the wrestling world. A beloved WWE superstar has been found dead under circumstances that remain unclear, but devastating nonetheless. Fans across the globe are in disbelief. Social media is flooded with tributes, old match clips, and tearful messages from fellow wrestlers and fans alike. Some are calling it a nightmare. Others are calling it the end of an era. But no matter what you call it, one thing is certain: WWE will never be the same. This is the heartbreaking story of the life, legacy, and sudden death of former Intercontinental Champion Jason Reyes, a man who lived through every extreme WWE could throw at him, until the world threw something back that he couldn't fight off. Born Jason Reynolds in Houston, Texas, 1987, he wasn't born into wrestling royalty. There were no Anoa'i bloodlines in his DNA, no dusty championship belts in the attic. He came from a working-class family, his father a mechanic, his mother a school cafeteria worker. But from the age of 8, all Jason talked about was wrestling. Not football, not girls, not video games. Wrestling. He would stay up late to watch Monday Night Raw, sneaking into the living room when his parents were asleep. He memorized promos from Stone Cold Steve Austin and tried to practice Jeff Hardy's Swanton Bomb off his bunk bed. Injuries, naturally, came early. And yet, he never stopped. He couldn't stop. Because Jason didn't just want to wrestle, he needed to. After high school, he trained at a small Texas wrestling gym that had no air conditioning and barely functioning lights. There was no spotlight, no crowd, and no paycheck. Just blood, sweat, and silence. But Jason worked harder than anyone. He slept in his car. He ate canned soup out of his gym bag. And he lived for the one moment each week where he got 5 minutes in the ring. Eventually, someone noticed. In 2011, he was signed to WWE's developmental territory. Back then it wasn't NXT, it was Florida Championship Wrestling. He came in as Jason Steele, a name nobody remembers, and he was used mostly as enhancement talent. But behind the scenes, people started whispering. That kid's got something. A dark charisma. A quiet danger. A fuse that felt like it was always seconds from blowing. That's when the character of Jason Reyes was born. A tortured soul. A man who walked the line between pain and pleasure. A heel who never wanted to be cheered, but somehow always was. By the time he debuted on WWE Raw in 2014, the audience didn't know what hit them. Dressed in black tape and chains, eyes sunken with a stare that could cut glass, Jason Reyes didn't just arrive, he erupted. His feuds with Dean Ambrose, Finn Balor, and Sami Zayn pushed boundaries. His backstage promos were so intense, some fans believed they weren't scripted. And maybe, they weren't. Jason never quite reached the World Championship. But he didn't need to. In 2017, he captured the Intercontinental Championship in what fans still call one of the greatest ladder matches of the decade. He bled that night. He cracked 2 ribs. And he still climbed to the top of that ladder, screaming with the belt raised above his head, as the crowd lost its mind. But success always came with shadows. Behind the curtains, things weren't so victorious. Jason Reyes, real name Jason Reynolds, was battling injuries that never healed, nightmares that never stopped, and a silence that slowly started to take over his personal life. His marriage quietly fell apart in 2018. He rarely spoke to his parents. And reports began circulating of missed rehearsals, quiet confrontations, and late-night disappearances after shows. In 2019, Jason requested time off. WWE granted it. But when he came back in 2020, something was different. His promos were slower. His eyes darker. He stopped engaging with fans. Some called it character work. Others weren't so sure. Then came the health rumors. At first, it was just speculation, fans on Reddit pointing out that Jason looked thinner, gaunter. Then backstage reports surfaced that he was being checked by WWE's medical team more frequently than others. When he missed SummerSlam 2021 with no explanation, people knew something was wrong. Still, he never addressed it, not in public, not even once. On November 8, 2022, Jason Reyes made what would be his final WWE appearance, an unscheduled run-in during an episode of SmackDown, where he attacked then Universal Champion Roman Reigns with a steel chair. The crowd erupted. The internet exploded. Everyone thought it was the start of something huge, but it wasn't. It was the end. He never appeared on television again, and now, nearly 3 years later, we know why. According to early reports confirmed by multiple outlets and later by WWE itself, Jason Reynolds, known to millions as Jason Reyes, was found unresponsive in his Los Angeles apartment late last night. Emergency responders attempted CPR, but he was pronounced dead at the scene. He was 38 years old. As of this recording, no official cause of death has been confirmed. However, sources close to the family state that Jason had been battling chronic heart issues, complications believed to be worsened by past concussions, painkiller use during his early career, and years of untreated stress. WWE released a brief but heartfelt statement this morning. "We are deeply saddened to learn of the passing of Jason Reynolds, also known to WWE fans around the world as Jason Reyes. Jason was a fierce competitor, a creative force, and a friend to many in our locker room. Our thoughts are with his family, friends, and fans at this time." Within hours, the wrestling world responded. Seth Rollins tweeted, "There was no one like him. A rare mind. A tortured genius. Rest in pain, brother." Triple H posted an old backstage photo with the caption, "You always gave 100%. Even when it hurt. You were one of the real ones." Fans have lit up Reddit, Instagram, and YouTube with tributes, career highlights, and emotional remembrances. Many have shared stories of how Jason's dark persona helped them through depression, loneliness, or identity struggles. For a man who rarely spoke outside character, he spoke deeply to millions, and now, we're left with silence. There will be no more renditions. No surprise appearances. No final promos. But maybe, just maybe, that's how Jason would have wanted it. He once said in a rare 2020 interview, "Wrestling saved me. But it also ruined me. And I don't know which one I owe more to." That quote now feels like prophecy. The legacy of Jason Reyes will never be about title reigns or WrestleMania moments. It will be about intensity, mystery, emotion. He wasn't a wrestler who followed the rules, he broke them. And in doing so, he created something that was more than a gimmick. He created a movement. A feeling. A presence, and now, it's gone but not forgotten. If this story moved you, we invite you to share your favorite memory of Jason Reyes in the comments below. Let's keep his name alive, not just for the man he was in the ring, but for the human being who carried that pain so the rest of us didn't have to. Subscribe to our channel for more stories that matter in the world of wrestling. And from all of us here, we say rest in power, Jason, you were too real for this world. In the hours that followed the announcement of Jason Reyes' death, something extraordinary began to unfold behind the curtain of WWE. The company that so often scripts every twist, every turn, every tear, was for once caught unprepared. There was no storyline here. No pre-taped package. No vignette. Just real grief. And silence. Triple H, now head of creative and one of the few who truly understood Jason's complex mind, was said to be the one who made the call to cancel all in-ring storylines for the next Monday Night Raw. Instead, the show opened with a 10-bell salute. No pyrotechnics. No intro music. Just an image of Jason Reyes, his eyes shadowed, his mouth slightly open, frozen in that infamous stare, broadcast silently on the Titantron. Some say you could hear sniffles from the crowd, others say even the hardest heels backstage were wiping tears. Following that, WWE aired a tribute package unlike any in recent memory. It wasn't flashy. There were no slow-motion highlights or voiceover narration. It was raw footage, Jason laughing backstage, checking his gear in the locker room, adjusting his wrist tape before a match, or sitting quietly in a dark hallway, alone. The kind of moments fans never get to see. The kind of moments that make legends feel human. Backstage, there was chaos, not from camera crews or writers scrambling, but from emotion. Several current superstars reportedly asked to be written off television for the week. Among them were Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, and AJ Styles. Three men who had worked closely with Jason over the years and had called him one of the most brutally honest people in the locker room. But even as the grief spread across the roster like a tidal wave, questions started to surface. And they weren't easy ones. Why hadn't WWE been more vocal about Jason's condition over the past year? Why had there been no official explanation for his absence since 2022? And most painfully, did anyone inside WWE know just how bad things had gotten? An anonymous source within WWE's Talent Relations Department told WrestleLine Daily that Jason had quietly reached out in early 2023, asking about an off-camera role, perhaps as a trainer at the Performance Center. He reportedly said he wasn't feeling strong enough to return to the ring but still wanted to help the next generation of wrestlers find their voice. The conversation, according to the source, didn't go anywhere. Now, with Jason gone, that missed opportunity haunts many inside the company. WWE has since announced a special memorial episode of SmackDown titled Raise, Eternal, a full 2-hour tribute airing Friday night, featuring interviews, unreleased backstage footage, and a final unreleased promo recorded by Jason himself just weeks before his death. According to those who previewed it, the promo wasn't part of a storyline. It was personal. Quiet. Almost like he knew. Meanwhile, fans have taken matters into their own hands. Outside the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, a growing crowd of supporters gathered to light candles, leave handwritten notes, and hang custom signs with Jason's catchphrases and signature poses. A local artist painted a mural of Rays in full gear across the side of a nearby gym, a haunting image of a man surrounded by chains, staring through the flames with calm defiance. Somewhere, you get the sense Jason would have smiled at that, but as the world honors the legacy, the truth behind Jason's death remains partially veiled. On Tuesday, the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office released a preliminary report suggesting natural causes aggravated by pre-existing cardiovascular complications. However, they also noted the presence of prescription sedatives in his system, and confirmed that a full toxicology report could take up to 6 weeks. This sparked debate online. Was Jason's death truly natural? Or was it the tragic consequence of years of untreated pain, physical and emotional? Fans began revisiting interviews, searching for signs. In one 2019 appearance on Corey Graves' podcast, Jason cryptically said, "I love the crowd. I love the fight. I just don't love myself when the lights go out." That line now echoes like a warning. No one paid attention to. In an even more heartbreaking twist, Jason's ex-wife, Renee Carter, spoke publicly for the first time since the news broke. In a tearful interview with Pro Wrestling Pulse, she revealed, "He called me 2 weeks ago. We hadn't spoken in months. He said he was tired. Not tired like sleepy, tired in his soul. I begged him to get help again. He said he would. That was the last time I heard his voice." Her voice cracked. Her hands trembled. But she never broke down. "He was the strongest broken man I've ever known," she said. "And I loved him." Across the industry, Jason's death has ignited a broader conversation about mental health in wrestling. Superstars like Xavier Woods and Natalya have shared posts urging fans and fellow wrestlers to check in on your strong friends. Others, like Randy Orton, posted without words, just a photo. One of Jason, backstage, lacing up his boots. Sometimes silence says more than any caption, but as fans and fellow wrestlers process this loss, attention has turned to one final question: who carries the torch now? Jason Rays was never the face of the company. He wasn't the top merch seller or the main event at WrestleMania. But he represented something darker. Something honest. Something rare. He gave voice to pain. To trauma. To that quiet, aching loneliness so many carry. And he did it in a ring. Night after night, now that he's gone, WWE is reportedly considering a Jason Reyes Memorial Tournament, to be held at NXT and later elevated to the main roster. Sources suggest the event would spotlight rising stars who embody his intensity, creativity, and outsider spirit. No official details have been confirmed. But fans have already begun circulating designs and tribute logos online. Some even call for WWE to rename the Intercontinental Championship in his honor. Is that likely? Maybe not, but it speaks volumes about how deeply his story has resonated. For now, fans are left with memories. And matches. And words. In one of his final promos, never aired on television, Jason looked straight into the camera, blood dripping from his lip after a brutal match in NXT. He said, "I don't need to be remembered forever. I just want you to feel something. If you felt anything, I did my job." We felt it, Jason. We felt all of it, and now, we feel the silence you left behind. By Wednesday evening, it wasn't just WWE fans who were grieving, it was the entire wrestling ecosystem. From independent circuits in the UK to promotions in Japan, Mexico, and across the American heartland, wrestlers, promoters, and fans united in honoring a man whose pain-filled performance style had resonated far beyond the main roster. At Pro Wrestling Guerrilla's weekly show in Reseda, California, the crowd stood in unison during a moment of silence for Jason. The ring announcer, normally brimming with energy, barely got through the words. "Tonight, we don't just wrestle for the crowd, we wrestle for Reyes." A young indie star, Jude Cross, entered the ring wearing black trunks with Reyes stitched in white across the back. He didn't cut a promo. He just pointed to the sky, knelt, and began a match with tears in his eyes that was happening everywhere. At Stardom, the Japanese women's promotion where Jason once trained briefly in 2015 during his off-season, wrestlers wore black armbands bearing his initials. In CZW, where he cut his teeth in violent hardcore matches long before the WWE polish came into play, they dimmed the lights and played a fan-made tribute video that had already gone viral across YouTube and TikTok, edited with his infamous entrance theme echoing through an empty arena. And then, something even more powerful began unfolding, not just the mourning of a wrestler, but the rediscovery of a man. Clips of Jason began resurfacing online, not just matches, but raw moments. Videos of him breaking character after dark matches, staying an hour after the show to talk to a disabled fan. Footage from a 2018 Make-A-Wish visit where he took a knee in front of a 12-year-old boy and whispered, "You're the Real fighter, not me." Fans began stitching together these moments into short-form edits on Instagram and X. The comment sections were flooded with messages like, "He got me through my darkest year. I didn't relate to anyone in wrestling, until Jason Reyes. He screamed when I couldn't." It was becoming clear, Jason Reyes wasn't just a character. He was a mirror, for those who felt invisible, broken, or unworthy. And he turned their pain into power. Back in WWE, those closest to him began taking steps to preserve that legacy in a way that would outlive the mourning cycle. Kevin Owens, who had worked a now legendary Last Man Standing match with Jason in 2016, was said to have personally approached WWE management with an idea, a yearly Jason Reyes Memorial Cup, not just for titles or storylines, but as a spotlight for underused talent who reflect the same grit, realism, and psychological storytelling that made Reyes unforgettable. "It's not about wins," Owens reportedly told the creative team. "It's about impact. It's about who leaves the audience feeling like their soul just got cracked open." WWE is said to be strongly considering the pitch, with early discussions about holding the tournament in conjunction with Mental Health Awareness Month, with partial proceeds going toward nonprofit organizations focused on trauma recovery, mental health support for athletes, and substance rehabilitation. But this wasn't just a WWE story anymore. Jason's name had crossed over. ESPN ran a 5-minute tribute during its SportsCenter segment on Thursday, calling him one of the most emotionally resonant performers the WWE has ever known. Rolling Stone published a long-form essay titled "The Wrestler Who Hurt So We Didn't Have to." And most surprisingly, John Cena, who had not spoken publicly about Reyes in years, broke his silence on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. "I didn't understand Jason at first," Cena admitted, his tone quieter than usual. "He didn't want to be a superhero. He didn't care about being liked. But he made you feel. And I think, in the end, that's what art is." That interview went viral. Clips of it were re-edited with Jason's music, overlaid with moments from his last match. Fans began hashtagging. As the funeral date approached, set to take place in Houston with a private ceremony, there was a looming question no one could avoid: would WWE honor Jason at WrestleMania? Insiders say discussions are already underway to induct Jason Reyes posthumously into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2026, bypassing the usual 5-year waiting period. If that happens, it would make him one of the youngest inductees in history. But while executives deliberate over legacy, fans are creating their own. One anonymous fan launched a website called ReyesLegacy.com, collecting stories from around the world, letters, art, voice memos, fan cams, and testimonials about how Jason's character helped them overcome depression, anxiety, or trauma. Within 48 hours, the site had 1.2 million unique visitors and over 9,000 submissions. One note, written in shaky handwriting by a 15-year-old from Ohio, simply said, "You screamed when I was too scared to. Thank you." Backstage, WWE is said to be navigating a wave of emotional fallout. While the tribute episodes are being praised, some wrestlers have privately expressed frustration that Jason's real struggles were overlooked for too long. A few producers are reportedly calling for WWE to create a formal mental health division, not just a wellness policy on paper, but actual year-round resources, therapy, grief counseling, and emotional training for life on the road. For the first time in a long time, a WWE death isn't just prompting sadness, it's prompting change. And maybe that's the final gift Jason Reyes left behind, not just his matches, not just his promos, but a wake-up call. A reminder that pain isn't weakness. That silence kills. And that even the most indestructible-seeming superstars are still human underneath the lights. We may never know the full story behind Jason's final days, but we know this: he mattered. He mattered deeply, and he always will. As the camera slowly fades on this episode, we're left with one final clip, one that hasn't been seen until now. It's Jason, backstage, recording a message for a charity video that never aired. His voice is low, raspy, but sincere. He says, "If you're watching this, just know you're not alone. The world may try to break you, twist you, bury you. But if you've got breath in your lungs and fire in your chest, you're still in the match. And that means you can still win." That's the kind of message we all needed, then and now. Rest in peace, Jason Reyes. You fought for all of us, and you didn't just wrestle, you felt, you made us feel, and for that, your legacy is eternal. The grief hasn't faded, but something new has begun to take shape in its place. In the weeks following Jason Reyes' passing, WWE has quietly started laying the groundwork for what may become one of the most emotionally resonant tributes in company history. Not just a memorial. Not just a show. But a legacy, etched into the very fabric of WWE programming. It began with a decision made behind closed doors. WrestleMania 42, already set to take place at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, will now feature a full-segment tribute to Jason Reyes on Night 1, an unprecedented move for a superstar who never headlined a WrestleMania card. The tribute will reportedly open with a new orchestral rendition of Jason's entrance theme, recorded live with a string ensemble. No pyro. No screaming announcers. Just a spotlight in the middle of the ring, illuminating his signature leather coat, folded neatly over a steel chair. But that's not all. Sources inside WWE Creative confirm that the show will also include a Jason Reyes legacy match. An open challenge issued by a hand-picked rising talent who cites Jason as their biggest influence. Names rumored to be in contention include Braun Breaker, Ilya Dragunov, and NXT's fast-rising enigma, Lucien Vale, a character whose quiet darkness and haunting promo style have drawn comparisons to Jason's early work. Triple H reportedly told the writing team, "This can't be performative. It has to mean something. Every detail, every camera cut, every movement, should feel like he's still in the ring with us. Backstage, the emotions are still raw. Jason's locker, previously cleaned out after his quiet 2022 exit, has been reassembled as a memorial space at the Performance Center. Photos of his debut, his Intercontinental Championship win, even handwritten notes he'd leave behind for younger talent have all been framed and displayed. One note, scribbled in Sharpie and taped to the back of his locker mirror, reads, "If the pain feels bigger than the dream, take one more breath. Then go again." That message has since been printed onto wristbands worn by several NXT talents during tapings, an unofficial way of carrying his words with them into the ring. Outside the company, plans are underway for something even more expansive, a Jason Reyes documentary special. WWE Studios, in partnership with A24 Films, is producing a 2-hour cinematic tribute titled Reyes, In Silence, He Screamed, currently in early production. The documentary is said to feature previously unreleased footage, interviews with close friends and rivals, and excerpts from Jason's personal journals, voice notes, and therapy recordings, offered by his family with the hope of opening up the conversation about trauma in sports entertainment. And it's not just about wrestling. Mental health advocates are now pushing for Jason's story to be shared in high schools, youth athletic programs, and performance academies across the country. His death has reignited debates around performance pressure, emotional suppression, and the long-term effects of untreated injury, especially in industries where toughness is worn like armor. ESPN is reportedly producing a special segment for E60, while streaming giant Netflix has approached WWE about a limited series dramatization inspired by Jason's career and inner struggles. What was once just tragedy is now becoming a vehicle for awareness, empathy, and healing, and yet, it's the quiet moments that continue to echo loudest. At a recent untelevised WWE house show in Chicago, Sami Zayn, a man who once went to war with Jason Reyes in an infamous Falls Count Anywhere match, stopped before the final segment of the night. With a microphone in hand, he looked at the crowd and simply said, "We all wore masks." He just wore his honestly. He left the ring to no music. Just silence. The crowd stood. No chants. No cheers. Just respect. Jason's shadow continues to stretch across the locker room, and in unexpected ways Liv Morgan, who once managed Reyes briefly during a short-lived but memorable heel alliance, has been vocal in interviews about the emotional impact he had on her career. "He told me, don't try to be a character. Just find the part of you that scares you most, and show that. I didn't get it then. But I do now. And I'll never forget it." Several talents, both male and female, have echoed similar sentiments, that Jason saw through them, not just into them. He challenged his peers to bring rawness to their promos, unpredictability to their pacing, and vulnerability to their characters. It was risky. It was messy. But it was real, and that's the gift he gave to wrestling. Authenticity. It wasn't about titles or brand loyalty. It wasn't about catchphrases or merchandise sales. It was about connection, between pain and performance, between rage and resonance. As WrestleMania approaches, WWE has invited Jason's family to attend both nights as honored guests. His mother, his younger brother, and even his estranged ex-wife, Renee, are expected to be seated ringside. According to WWE insiders, Jason's name will also be permanently inscribed in the WWE Performance Center Wall of Honor, a section reserved for individuals who shaped the soul of the industry. And still, fans want more. Petitions have gained traction to include Jason's likeness in future WWE video games, not as a downloadable extra, but as a core roster tribute. Custom arenas designed by players in WWE 2K25 now feature candles, chains, and ring ropes lit in low, pulsing red, his trademark color. Thousands of players have uploaded Reyes logos, tributes, and alternate attires to keep his presence alive in digital arenas. At this point, Jason Reyes is no longer just a wrestler, he's a symbol, for everyone who ever felt broken but kept showing up. For everyone who ever hid their scars behind a spotlight, for everyone who ever screamed, not to be heard, but to survive. And maybe that's why this story, unlike most wrestling deaths, refuses to fade, because Jason's greatest moment didn't happen in the ring. It happened afterward, When we looked back and finally understood what he was trying to say all along, that silence is sometimes the loudest scream. That darkness doesn't mean the light is gone, it means you're still fighting to find it. That pain, when shared, can heal, and in death, Jason Reyes is still helping us do that. For all the love, for all the tributes and posthumous honors pouring in, there's a quieter, more uncomfortable conversation.